Hi there, I'm Dr. Hans Toki, and I wanted to have a discussion, brief one, to my Charter Oak students in regards to discussion board counterpoint type of responses. I've noticed a trend in the discussion boards over time that we tend to love to agree with the person with what they've said. So there'd be an initial posting that says, "That is great, I totally agree," and then you go on to enhance and expand on what you agree with. Now that's not to disparage the person who agrees with what you say, but a really interesting thing is to learn how to argue from the other side and to think from the other side. Good discussion is thesis, antithesis. Now, one of the tricky things I've had to learn as a professor is how to take an antithesis or a counterpoint to the main point when I agree with the main point. So let me give a few examples of this in the Urban Youth in America course. It's typical that students agree that we should have equal funding in education. And thus a broadcast from NPR is presented on the site where, speaking from a federal level, the discussion evolves into that we should have equal funding for every student in the United States. And there shouldn't be unfairness built into the system. Now, as a utopian ideal, I agree. But if you think about it, it's impossible to pull off. Why? Because America's built on municipal politics, or the local school board that decides what goes on. So if you advocate for the position of the national equality for everybody, that would mean giving away local control of your local school to a federal government in Washington. I guarantee you, most parents would say, "No way, Jose, do I want someone in Washington telling me about how to take care of my kid." So while it seems unfair, the system in and of itself is built that way. So the counterpoint would be, yes, we believe in equality of education, but how do you counter this when you know parents are self-interested in their own kids doing better? How can we challenge them beyond their own kids? Very difficult to do in an individualistic society in America that believes in upward mobility. Well, here's another one. Mentoring. We have an article written about a mentoring program in Chicago that's been very successful in what it does. And we can roll this out nationally, and kids get mentored, and it's going to be an exciting moment. Problem: mentoring requires long-term investment. In the readings you've done, it's been shown that the long-term mentoring is what really changes the life of a child, not short-term hits. Do you know how hard it is to find volunteers to give their life over a long period of time? It is really, really tough. Most people will volunteer once, twice, or at an annual event. But there's a very small group that say, "I will give up an hour of my week every single week to be with a child who's in trouble," over time. Not 1 year, not one semester, but over 10 years, 15 years. This is one reason why Big Brothers Big Sisters, for instance, has a really strong ethical position in you have to give over time to your child, and why they really have really stringent rules on how you can get in. So while it might be idealistic to think that this would be great to have kids all over the country, how are you going to